Today's lesson is on measures of central tendency, which basically asks this question. What's a typical number or data point within a set of numbers? To answer that, I'm actually going to take you through a job search. So let's say you're looking for a job and you get the rosters of two different companies, Widgets Incorporated and Apps R Us. So you randomly call a selection of employees from each roster and you ask them what their annual salary is. They think you're kind of weird, but whatever, they tell you anyway. So then you average all the salaries and you find that at Widgets Inc., the average salary is about $65,000. At Apps R Us, the average salary is about $61,000. Okay, you've just found what we call a point estimate. And a point estimate is a data point, typically from a sample, that describes a feature characteristic of a population. Point estimates can be measures of central tendency, they can be proportions or percentages, they can be measures of spread, but today we're going to be talking about measures of central tendency, which is a value that represents a typical data entry. Okay, back to the job search. So Widgets Inc. or Apps R Us, where do you want to work? Well, clearly you want to work at Widgets Inc. because you're going to make more money, right? Well, just to be sure, you call your buddy, who's a statistician, and you give him all your data. He looks at your research and he's like, I would work for Apps R Us if I were you. Yeah, why? Well, he says, I see that you took the salaries and averaged them, but these salaries are actually what you're most likely to make. Well, who's correct? In a sense, both of you are correct because you've both found a measure of central tendency. Okay, measures of central tendency. There are actually three of them. There's the mean, the median, and the mode. The mean is the one we think of most often as the average. It's the sum of the data entries divided by the number of data entries. Next would be the median. That's if you arrange the entries in order from smallest to largest, and then you just pick the middle number. If there's two middle numbers, you have to find the middle of those. Finally, there's the mode, which is the entry that occurs the most. Okay, so what do we have here? Which one is which? And more importantly, which one is the most accurate? Well, in order to answer that question, we actually need to go back and look at the raw data. So we've got Widgets Inc. and Apps R Us, and here's their salaries. And the mean is the first number we found, where you average all the salaries, add them all up, divide by the number of salaries there are. The median, okay, we take the numbers, put them in order from least to greatest, and then just pick the middle number. So we get $43,000 for Widgets Inc., $67,000 for Apps R Us. The mode, that's the entry that occurs the most. So for Widgets Inc., it's about $34,000, and the mode for Apps R Us, oh, well, there isn't one. Let's talk about mode for just a second. There can be no mode, and that's okay. There can also be more than one mode. So if there's more than one mode, that means they all have the same number of entries that occur the most. Then you just write them in a list separated by a comma. Today, we're just talking about mean and median. Okay, back to the data. Which one is the most accurate? Now we have to talk about something called outliers. Now, an outlier is a number that is significantly different than the rest of the data. We say that outliers can skew or change the position of a typical data point. So outliers, they impact the value of the mean the most because the mean actually uses every value and takes that into the calculation. It has less impact on the median because the median just uses each value as an ordered entry. So if there are outliers, then the median is the most accurate number. Okay, so now we have to look at our list again and say, does either of this list have any outliers? Yeah. Look at the bottom of Widgets Inc., like 198,000, 259,000, like those are really big salaries. Those are significantly different than the rest of the data points, which means that the median is probably the most accurate measure of central tendency. So your buddy is right. Like probably you want to work at AppsRS because that median is higher. Now, to do all this manually with paper and pencil, that can be a lot of work. So let's learn how to use the calculator. I'm going to take you through the graphing calculator, Texas Instruments 83 and 84, to find the mean and the median. Okay, let's say we have a list of numbers. First thing you're going to do is go to Stat and hit Edit. Then you plug all the numbers into list 1, hit Enter. Then go to Stat and go over to Calc. Go down to one variable stats, hit Enter. In there, you're going to have a list 1 where it says frequently list, leave that blank and hit Calculate. And here we go. You get all these numbers. And right here, X bar, that's the mean. And then N, that's the number of entries. So you can make sure you've put the right number of numbers in there. And if you scroll down a bit, you'll see this thing called Med. There we go. That's the median. Now, what if you want to find the mode? Well, you can do that too. Go back to Stat, Edit, but now go down to Sort A. And in Sort A, you're going to tell them that you want to sort list 1. Then go back to Stat, Edit. And there you've got your list and it's all sorted. And you can just scroll down and see which entry occurs the most. So there we are. Those are the basic measures of central tendency, which is a typical score or a data point. Remember, there's 3 of them. There's the mean, the median, and the mode. And the median is the one that's best to use if there are outliers. Thanks for being here.